Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nedarim page 47, which discusses a distinction when a person makes a vow. And if the individual would say that I am forbidding your house or your field, I'm not going to go into your field, I'm not going to go into your house. So the fact that you specified and said it's yours, the whole issue is going into this person's property. It's not an issue on the property itself. And therefore, what happens if that person that you made this neder against, that person dies later on, or let's say he sells that field to someone else. He sells his house to someone else. So on this we say that you are now allowed to go into the field, you are now allowed to go into this house, because the whole prohibition is going into your house, your field. But once that person is no longer the owner, it's not an issue. However, in a situation, a person used a different language and says, Bais zeh, this house, this field, I'm not going to enter. So here, the language is not on the person, but rather it's on the object. And therefore, even if that property, that field was sold or the owner died, he's still not allowed to have any benefit from going into these properties. Because again, his focus is not on the individual, it's on the property, it's on the house itself. And therefore, even if the ownership is transferred to another individual, the law still is that is forbidden to him. So we find that there's actually a law over here where a person is more strict when you say that it's Bais zeh, it's this house, that it doesn't make any difference. You're never able to go into this house. You're never able to go into this field. However, the Ran tells us that actually there's a possibility that it's a leniency. Imagine that, again, you say this house, and all of a sudden the house collapsed. The house fell down. And all of a sudden the same owner rebuilds the house. And afterwards, let's say again it's sold or whatnot, the reality is it doesn't make any difference. Because even though you said something which seemed very strict, the reality is it's not that house. It's no longer this house, because the house was destroyed and it fell down and now it's completely rebuilt. It would be questionable perhaps if we're renovating whether or not we would say it's still considered to be the original house if you just added something onto it, whether or not that also is the case. But we certainly see over here this interesting phenomenon that sometimes a person could say something and it seems like that individual is saying something which is very harsh and very strict, but it's also possible that the very same words that are being said could actually be a leniency.